Hello, beautiful souls. I'm so glad that we could join together today. Pull some cards, see what messages Spirit has within for us, for the collective. Not all these messages will resonate with everyone, but very often we find that there's something that we can learn from the cards, even if it doesn't necessarily apply to our explicit situation. There's a lot of lessons here, that's for sure. Let's talk about him. He's got charisma. He comes in the door and you just know it, you feel it. That energy is of a inspiring, invigorating type, but there's a level of healing to it. His healing is through the muse, though. It's through entertainment. It's through music, through art, through creating, and he inspires us to pick up that paintbrush, pick up that pencil, to do the things that um, feel like we need to express ourselves, to create, to put things out, whether it's just for you privately or whether you decide that it needs to go out into the world. There is also a healing nature to this, but it is not necessarily in the medical sense, although I am getting for some of you that there's a factor here where there's an individual in the medical field that's being referenced in this card. Uh, but it's more about taking our time to pay attention to our environment. What are you taking into your body? Are you taking time to rest? Are you exercising regularly? Are you taking your vitamins if you need to? Are you staying hydrated? I'm feeling for a lot of people, it's about balancing the physical and mental health with the things that they're trying to accomplish. The reason for this is because our environment and the way that we generally treat ourselves is going to reflect on the output. He is affected by his environment. He goes into an environment, and if it's chaotic and messy, he's going to feel scattered and confused, and there's too much going on here. If you provide an environment that's well organized and clean and tidy, he's going to walk in and think, oh, okay. And he's going to be able to conduct himself in that way. This is a water sign. This is reflecting in our emotions. This reflects in our relationships with other people. Because of his water sign and because of here, he's done a pretty good job of balancing it. And he generally knows what kind of environment he needs to be in. That doesn't mean he's not affected by the things that go on. He's also not real good at sharing that, ironically, right? Because he knows what he feels and he's very alert to what he feels. He doesn't necessarily express it very well. So he uses art and music and things of this nature to get that feeling out. So if you're finding yourself feeling out of sorts, but you don't exactly know how to tell the people that you love or the people around you what you need, step back and pay attention to your environment and what you're doing for yourself, your inner work, focusing on that. Allow yourself to express your emotions in some way. Find a healthy way to do it, whether you're writing or making art or whatever it is that you need to do. But also pay attention to the situations that you're putting yourself in. Are you putting yourself into environments? Are you not feeling the party vibe and then going to the party anyway and wondering why you don't feel good? If you're going into a conflict situation, when you come out of it, you can expect to feel run down and exhausted. If you put yourself in a situation where somebody has high demands and it's very stressful and you're walking on eggshells for hours and hours and hours, you are going to feel very much on edge. So we need to pay attention, inner, outer, and make sure that we're providing everything that we ourselves need and allowing ourselves time to express that, as well as paying attention to the environments we put ourselves in. Here's why. Ten of Wands says that we're feeling a lot of heaviness to the situation that this is referencing. So the way that we're thinking about it has this tendency to have a physical effect on us. And if you're spending too much time with these expectations of other people or how a situation should go, you're actually reflecting that energy into the situation. So this is a call for us to be aware of how we're thinking about things. If you are struggling with your finances and you spend time thinking about what's going to overdraft and what's not getting paid in time, that's the energy that you're putting into the situation. That is not a beneficial energy for this. Additionally, if you're thinking a lot about how your partner or somebody that you're involved with emotionally in some way is pulling away from you and not communicating with you, then you're adding more stress and tenseness to that situation. When we deal with this energy, this 10 of Wands energy, what's important is that we first become aware of what it is that we're thinking about and how we're thinking about it. And then we want to kind of pull ourselves back from the situation entirely. Give it space. You're not supposed to be rushing and making decisions here. You're supposed to be taking care of and being, how complicated the imagery is here. You can't just get through that without some difficult situation. Like if you try to push yourself through that, force yourself through the situation, it's going to hurt. It's damaging. It's not the way that we address this. But if we look, we can see the light behind it, right? We know that we can get ourselves out of this. So rather than force and push and overthink it to death, pull it back and examine it and find that window, find where there's an opportunity. Now, maybe it's going to be in layers. Maybe we have to navigate a step over here and then we have to navigate a step over here. Maybe things just fall in. Um, maybe the situation at hand just requires a little bit of a more delicate approach. Maybe it's an issue of timing and then it's not going to happen in this timing, or that we've endured a setback here and we just need to allow it to be, because eventually we're going to be able to navigate through this. Eventually all this is going to pull away and we're going to be able to make our way through. When you make your way through, right? That's when you make your way through. This is celebrating what happens when we do the things we're supposed to do, when we take the advice of the cards, when we level up in our emotional dealings, when we get control and manage our emotions, and we understand the concept of divine timing and we step back and allow things to transpire the way that they're supposed to. When we say no to the things that aren't good for us and we say yes and focus on the things that we're supposed to be doing for ourselves. When we let other people's expectations of how we're supposed to handle things go. I'm getting for a lot of you, like you being told to deal with things in a certain way, or you got to handle this, or da, 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 da. You're like rushed, you're being pushed, you're being forced to address a situation. That's not how we do things. These things require a gentle touch. And see these fragile, beautiful wings? You had to navigate through all this hot mess. If you'd have tried to do that in any other way, you'd have shredded those wings. That's not how we're supposed to do it. We allow the situation to unfold in the way that it does. Butterfly gets to that point where it knows it's safe and it knows it can finally open its wings and be who it is and be free and released from all these constraints. Then it's time. So there's no rush to the situation. It's about balancing, managing your emotions inside, outside your environment, being careful of your environment. Take some time to the situation, allow some time to occur, so that you can think about solutions, focusing on the positive aspects, because it is going to move away from you. It is going to become a situation that you're no longer afraid of, and you're going to feel wonderful at the end of it. All things in time, babies. We go through cycles. This is another one. That's all. Such a wonderful message to accompany the first one. Wombat spirit, be at home and release. This is about focusing on that's right here again with our environment. What are we spending time on? I look around my room right now and I say, yes, that is a full week of me not taking care of my space, and it needs to be addressed. And it's not just that, it's also been a full week since I've sat in front of my altar and spent some time of devotion. I had a lot of other things going on, and I've just been everywhere and all over the place, and homework and work and helping other people, and a loss in our friend circle, and things of that nature have just kind of been piling on top of me. And today I woke up and I said, okay, you're just going to handle one thing at a time, but you're going to start with your space. I'm going to start with my mind. I'm going to make sure that I start my day with a nourishing breakfast. So I did that. As much as I want to drink coffee, I know that I am a little bit dehydrated, and it's really important that I get my water intake today. So I left the coffee pot off. I'll start that later after I've gotten in my water intake. I took a long hot shower and I moisturized every single part of my body. And not that I don't do that every day, but I just took a lot of time to make sure that I was tending to myself and being at home. And not just in that, now I want to be comfortable in this space. I want to feel good about it. So I'm going to shape up the environment I'm in, and tidy the things up. I need to put some clothes away. They're just sitting there in a basket. Fold a couple of blankets. There's a few things that are falling out of my closet that I just kind of shoved back in there. I look at that and it bothers me, and I'm not comfortable with that. But if I take a few minutes to do that, then I can sit down and just be at peace with things. I can just relax. I don't have to get anything else done. I just need to focus on the things that are going to allow me to be comfortable right now. And you cannot expect yourself to do all the things in one day. You do what is necessary, you focus on your priorities. But those priorities need to start with you. They need to make sure that you yourself have addressed your own personal needs first. Then you can feel okay with situations. Then you can feel comfortable in your own space. Then you can relax. You're not going to relax if you know that there's a million things in your brain. Physically relaxing and actually relaxing are two different things. You can physically sit down and stop moving your body when you're tired, but that does not mean you are relaxed. Relaxing and being comfortable and being at home involves you feeling okay with things, how things are going, that you feel comfortable letting the things that you have not addressed yet be. So you need to release them mentally, emotionally. I would love to hear from someone right now. Communication lines have been opened, and I want nothing more than to hear back from them. And yet, I know that there's nothing that I can do to get them to give me more until they're ready. I just have to let it go. I have to know that I've given them space and they know that it's open, and we can communicate. And with this space, I am trusting that divine timing and the universes and spirit is watching for me and caring for me and loving me. And when I step back and let go of the need to control how that happens, that's when I find that I can finally relax. It's okay. We can have time. We've got a lot of time. There's a sense of urgency that hits us when things are not going our way. We have to, it has to be right now. And that's just not how things work. Um, I know I'm getting for some of you that you're not going to get that phone call till Monday. They don't even do business over the weekend. So why are you sitting there holding your energy so tightly, waiting for this response? You're not even going to get a response until Monday. And you know that's rational, and that's in plenty of time. It's not going to affect anything. It's just that you are spending so much time and energy obsessing over this that you don't feel comfortable, that you're tense, and this blockage is wearing on you. It's carrying you to a very heavy place, and it's exhausting you. And there's no need for that. You can instead focus on tending care and loving and being comfortable in this body and being comfortable in this space, allowing things to transpire in the way that they need to, because you're going to be really surprised at how things turn out if you do that. You let them roll out in the timing and the nature that they want to, you're always going to find that there's like an added bonus there. It's like it's a little bit sweeter than you thought it would be. Like giving wine a little bit more time, it's going to have a more fully developed body. It's like letting cheese, the aged cheese, the longer it sits, the better it tastes. Sometimes, cooking greens, you got to cook them for a certain amount of time for that bitterness to be pulled out, right? Anything that we're doing, when we give it a little bit more time and care, comes out better. So that's what this message is for. This message is for trusting that that's time to marinate, sweeten it up. Just give it what it needs. Give you what you need in the meantime. Take some nice deep breaths and trust that it's going to be perfect. It's going to be exactly what you need. It's going to turn out just fine. You're not going to make it happen any faster. In fact, the longer it takes, the better it's going to work out. You got to let these miracles work for you. We're going to address all three of these: star bathing, light body, crystal grid transmission, and activation. And we will talk about that perspective. None of this matters. Zoom out, common ground, and acceptance. Learning to accept the things I cannot change. The message is pretty clear today all across all three videos. It's very much mirroring the same ideas. You overthinking the situation isn't going to make it work out any differently. It's just exhausting yourself. And in fact, when we release the need to control it, we find that we can be a lot more comfortable with it. I'm thinking of a particular situation in one of my classes that made me uncomfortable. And there was a level of frustration with that I wanted to, I was kept thinking and overthinking about ways to address it, and then recognizing ultimately, if I just allow myself to sit with that discomfort and then let it go, because it's not really, it wasn't my feelings about a situation, it was somebody else's feelings about a situation. Do I have control over how they feel about their own situation? No. There's nothing I can do about that. And it doesn't involve me. It had nothing to do with me. So instead, I say, well, sorry they feel that way. I'm sorry they've had experiences that led them to that, but ultimately, I can't convince them. I can't write a 10-page dissertation to explain to them why they're wrong. It doesn't affect me in the slightest, actually. And if it comes down to it, if it did affect me, there are things that I can do then. But at this point, can I just be okay with it? That it's, yeah, this doesn't affect me at all. And when I do that, all of a sudden I'm like, I can stop thinking about that now. Nothing I can do about this. Same thing with this timing thing in the last video. Spirit came through and said that you're not going to get an answer till Monday. So why are you obsessing about it? What is it going to do if you know you're not going to hear from a business on Monday or from an entity on Monday until Monday? Today is Saturday. That's 2 whole days. You could be focused on other things. Don't hold on to that. You don't need to carry that bag around all weekend. You're not leaving. Not leaving yet. Let's talk about this one real quick. This late transmission activation, a lot of the heaviness us healers are feeling is something that we understand to be receiving transmissions. These are layers of knowledge, understanding, wisdom, and guidance that come and rain upon us, and then we mold them over and process them. And this period of processing is very heavy and exhausting. So I'm seeing from a lot of healers, and I know myself personally felt very weighed down. Felt like I needed some extra sleep last night. And then even this morning, I didn't quite want to get out of bed, but I had to. So still, again, taking time to take care of my body, nourishing myself, taking care of the priorities, and letting the things that, like, overthinking these things in my mind are not going to present them in any better of a capacity. A lot of times I find that when I step away from overthinking the situation and just say, let my mind work in the background. It can do that. It's got that capability. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to fold these clothes. I'm going to sweep this floor. I'm going to finish this homework. I'm going to, whatever, I'm going to do these dishes. I'm going to scrub this, whatever. I always use cleaning as a reference because it's number one, cleaning is magic practice. Two, it is an act of self-care. And three, it is a great way to take your mind away from things that you can't control while improving your environment, which makes you feel good about what you're doing. There's three levels of actually doing cleaning, organizing, and stuff like that that will benefit you in your magic practice, especially if you're feeling heavy. Now, maybe you don't feel like you have the energy to do that. So clean your body, clean out your email, do the things that are easy without a lot of effort and structure. Why not? It'll take your mind off things, and that makes things feel a lot lighter. Now, let's talk about this perspective. None of this matters. Zoom out, common ground. We get hung up on the details a lot. And that's what becomes like, how am I going to present this? I got to present it in this very specific way. I got to say it this thing. I got to be heard. Um, Ultimately, I'm getting that overall the situation that you're experiencing this weight from and that you're feeling exhausted from isn't the main point. This isn't the big picture. So obsessing over it isn't going to play a factor at all. In fact, you may be putting yourself like I'm winding myself up about a situation that doesn't actually affect me and I don't need to have an opinion about it. How do I know that that person's even going to show back up next time? You know what I mean? Like something else could entirely happen that changes everything. There are so many things that we obsess over detail wise that ultimately are not the point. You'll hear some people, especially fire signs, love to. Um, it's not the point of the specific thing. It's more of the overall what it meant. Like it's not that you specifically that you canceled your dinner date with them. It's that you knew that they were looking forward to it. It was something important to them. They needed that break. You didn't give them much time of the cancellation. So there's this whole like bigger response to the situation than and fire signs are very good at like pointing this out. Water signs just feel about it. Earth signs analyze it and can usually figure it out and go, oh, I'm so, and they can like figure out what the real issue is. And air signs are usually, I think they do things a little bit more intentionally. So they were kind of like, I don't care. Not that they don't care, they're uncaring people, but they had a factor that it was affecting them. And they're like, that's fine. I have to focus on me right now. But ultimately, it's not that you did a certain thing or behaved in a certain way that matters. It's what, in the grand scheme of things, how does your behavior contribute? Um, so when I look at the situation that I was referencing earlier, if I step back and just go, yeah, this has nothing to do with me. And if I don't give it any energy, what I'm going to find out is that I'll probably have some more information about that situation later and realize that that problem is beyond me and isn't anything to do with me. And maybe there's even something that I can contribute in a good way to help the situation. It's all about perspective. And in order to have perspective, we have to step back and consider things from a different place. Stop honing in on all the details and instead step back and what role can that play in the larger arena? You might not think that the fact that you wore sandals to an event played any part, except you realize that your date intended on going on a long walk afterwards. It's not that you wore the sandals, it's that you affected the full experience. If that makes sense. There's a lot to absorb in today's reading, so I would love to hear from you. I love to share with you. Thank you so much for joining me on this healing journey. And until next time.